Welcome. I'm Beth. All right, I've got to do a quick check because, yes, we're there. I'm Beth, right? Founder of Botanica Beth, and that's because I love plants. I love nature, and it's just part of my soul. So today, what I'm going to talk to you about is rhythms, not like nature's seasonal rhythms. It's important. So why you would want to stay tuned in. Maybe you are living the life where you feel like you have to go 150 miles per hour, 365 days a year. Maybe you live for the weekends. So much has changed globally, and a lot of people's schedules are shifting. So in the United States, our primary calendar is the Gregorian schedule. And when you're focusing on the Gregorian schedule, it's practical, right? We have 365 days. Sometimes, every fourth year we have leap day in February. We file our taxes on that schedule. We get paid on that schedule. Our kids go to school on that schedule. So it's given us a common language that is very wrapped into going to work, being educated, our systems, right? So that served a purpose and continues to serve a purpose within the systematic lifestyle of education and work and money, right? So this is a conversation and me sharing that you can add a different element to make you feel more connected. And that's my whole, I don't know about you, but there is something extremely refreshing about the first of the month. It feels like whatever happened in the month before, it's like we can close that door and move forward in so many ways. And I think that's why we hold on to that so tightly is it's the first of the month gives us something, right? It gives us a fresh start. And so I want to talk about two pillars in our rhythm. My whole Botanica Beth brand is talking about living more connected, living with rhythm, living with rituals that are very honorable and allow us to come back home in the essence of returning home to ourselves and Mother Nature and feeling supported and aligned so we can be creative again. And that's why I share so much art. So if that all feels of interest, stay tuned in. If not, maybe you go find your own, maybe go find someone who you feel really resonating with you. So let's talk about the first one, and that is the solar alignment, right? The sun. And I have to be honest, this was something that, sure, we learned about it in science class. It wasn't important to me. And so it didn't affect me. And I didn't grow up in a farming community, or I grew up in a farming community, but not in a farming family. And so there were some things around me as a child. And I think this is the biggest part of the connection is when we're kids and we're riding passenger, we're riding backseat in the cars as, we're going down the road, you're looking outside, you're realizing where we are now. We are in the northern hemisphere of the United States. And so just note that that's a baseline of a lot of the things that I talk about. You must know that that's where we're living. That's our ecosystem. And so our moon phases are opposite, our seasons are opposite of the southern hemisphere. And so that's important. And so where we are, it's spring. And about 2 weeks ago, I just noticed as I was riding passenger in a vehicle, the landscape was just brown. It was all brown. And the fields were getting tilled, and they were tilling sand. And it had a feeling to it, right? It had this feeling of, uncertainty almost. And so that's a lot of the spring. And it's no big thing that it's always got two sides. And so following the solar and the sun and the seasons, we honor the spring as one phase, and then summer, and then fall, and then winter. And this is where, being in the like the northern part of the United States, we do have all four seasons. And they can be very long and exhausting, and there can be an overtone in a community or a family that you dislike one season or another. And so this is an opportunity to reconnect with those seasons and honor them for what they are. And that's where there's no longer a season we don't love. And so that's something we wanted to bring to our children too, is to really embrace this season, because what is like, that is a reflection of embracing change in one's life. And so for us, the spring is all about planting, 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 planting. And it comes with that uncertainty of working hard to plant in time and sacrifice and resources and energy, hoping that you're going to one day reap a harvest. And so we can, and the thing I love about really integrating a natural rhythm into your life is that it's going to weave a thread between you and your kids in the outdoors that you realize was there within you, and we just didn't illuminate it. We didn't give it a lot of attention, kind of like riding and just looking out the window as a kid. And, you know, for us, we, in the fall, we have corn mazes. And, you know, so often we forget the connection of that bare field to that corn maze we run through are the same location. They're the same place. And so for us, we're in the spring. Spring is plant, 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 plant. The summer is nurture, right? So in order for those plants to grow, we can either trust the elements, or we can also come in and nurture and water and fertilize those seeds that we planted. And that's all summer. And that can be very celebratory. And in where we are surrounded by great lakes, freshwater bodies, and we love running to the beach. And so you can, as you start to go this rhythm, you might just recognize in the beginning, it's summer, right? That's it. When's the first day of summer? That's one of the things that I was ignorant to. And that's you just figuring out what is in the summertime, and it will seem off, right? So a lot of our schools are officially done for the year, and it's still spring. And so summer isn't until what? We've got like two and a half more weeks until the first day of summer actually hits, even though our weather is very warm and we're all swimming in the lakes right now. It feels like summer, but to really sit and honor that season as it is, and where the sun is and the earth is and everything is in its in alignment, is a whole nother level of connection. So then we shift into the fall, right? And the fall is harvest season. And we all know we go back to school, and, you know, for a lot of people, they return back to school after Labor Day. And then, you know, mid to later September is when we have the autumnal equinox. And so the autumnal equinox is the first day of fall. And that's when things just really start to go, right? Because school's in full-blown stages, and sports have started, and holidays are around the corner, and we know that winter's coming. So it's also a big push to get all of our summer projects wrapped up, or home construction. And so the fall is very busy, and that's okay. We need seasons where we hustle, and we need seasons where we rest. And so then we go from the fall into winter, right? And where we are, winter is a very long season. It seems incredibly long. However, winter this was a big one, because I did not love summer and I did not love winter. I was like the spring and fall kid because of the temperature. And so the winter, when I began to really align our family with the seasonal rhythm and bring awareness to it, winter got good. Winter got fun. But the thing about winter, and for our family, and where I always suggest people start with winter, is it's the season of healing. It's the season to rest. And originally in the beginning, I'm going to say, please, try on those different descriptions. Is it the season to rest? Do you need to rest? Are you just tired? Are you physically tired? Are you emotionally tired? Are you spiritually tired? And so it might be just the rest stage for you. And we did that for a couple years. Now we've shifted and we really wrap winter into a healing season for us. And when I say healing, I mean the rest season was kind of like movies and Netflix for months at a time. And that was okay. And that's okay to start there. And now we've really and we also had babies. It's hard sometimes to go out with little ones. And so now that we have older kids and they also found what they love to do. We are skiing and sledding and hiking and having woodland fires and the snow. And so we found things that we love to do together. And so now that is healing. And so a lot of times it's also in the fall when we're going to all the football games, or we don't even go to football games, but I know most of the country does. But you're out and you're social. And then we have, Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas for so many people, or whatever holidays. The fall is full of holidays and social gatherings. And so the winter for us is a time to kind of come back home and let it just be our tiny little nest family for a while, because we need the break. We need to go inside. We need to do some more meditation. And yes, we are out and skiing and running the slopes, but it's also it's very intimate because it's just the 5 of us. And so it's just a different vibe. And one of the big things that I like to connect with is this is the first step for a lot of people in connecting back to the land. And I like to, think of the farmers and how they plant and then they water and they harvest, and then they take a break from working the land, whether they're working, and that's, whether they're working on equipment or not. I'm talking about the land. They're giving the land a break, right, through the winter. And so we want to give ourselves the same thing. And this is going to help prevent burnout, resentment. It's going to help boost our physical health, mental health, emotional health, and everything will really start to flourish. And this might just be the missing piece that you didn't realize, that, oh, I could just recognize the seasons. And, for some of you guys, if you're in the tropics and you're closer to the equator than we are, you might not have the drastic weather change. Your weather might be a little bit more stable season to season, but it still carries the same energy. It still can carry the same spring. It's fresh. And, even in school, they call it the spring fling, the dances that we would gather and we would celebrate together. And the summer, all about nourishment, and the fall harvest and the winter rest. And so even if you're surrounded by the tropics and palm trees, you can still carry this energetically and still live seasonally. And it might just shift. It might shift for you where, summer for you is winter, and summer's the season that you really need to rest. But I think what I want to illuminate is at least one season needs to be very resting and very healing to carry you through the rest. And then that's the other thing, and I mentioned it, is celebration. And so for us, I've always personally struggled with the holidays that are celebrated in the United States. and they just didn't feel, I didn't feel connected. They felt forced. It felt like it wasn't authentic, so many of them. And so, you know, for us, it was about 3 years ago, and we threw a big Halloween party, and I said it felt off. And I just looked at my husband and I said, I think we're done. We're done doing this for a while. Let's see if we feel better by just not doing it. We didn't know where we were, what was going to evolve for us, but we knew that that was almost too much work, right? And it wasn't like recharging our batteries. It was just a constant drain on our batteries energetically. And so we stopped doing that and did nothing for about 2 years. And then we shifted to celebrating the seasons. And it was the first day of fall. We just threw a party for us, for our family. And it could be as simple as just saying, it's the first day. What can we do today as a family that would bring us joy? Maybe it's go get ice cream. Maybe it's go to the beach. Maybe it's just stay home and not leave the home because the traveling in the car is too much. So it can be very simple, the celebration, but the celebrating it is all where the love and connection and community comes in, and it begins at home. And so I will start in sharing more of our seasonal celebrations, because I could sit here and write this huge blog of a feast that we can make, and drinks and cocktails and art projects, right? And meditations. And it's all can be very overwhelming. And I think the first step always is just to recognize that there is that spring is here, that seasons come and seasons go. And so just start there. Or it's the day that you're going to have a whole hot cup of coffee, right? It doesn't matter. But over on my blog is where I really start to share some of the fun things that we do. I'm a huge art, you know, we're huge in the art family. And my kids don't necessarily love my art. And that, it doesn't hurt me. Like, I want them to be part of it. I want to teach them. So I want them to have the experience to say no to versus not trying it. But for me, one of the things I do in the summer, as you guys all know, I'm sure, is I get into natural dyeing. I love indigo dyeing, staking plant and having pigment and using water, barefoot on the earth. It's so therapeutic for me. However, blue for us, so many of the joyous moments that I put into creating these items, these crafts, these art and painting with my indigo pigment, we use at the table when we have our winter solstice celebration feast. And it was such a beautiful way to start to thread some of the seasons together. And so that's where I love that stuff. I share it on the blog. You can go to botanicabeth.com and you can find it there. And yes, so that's the first page. Rhythm will be up this weekend. And you can, it's botanicabeth.com, Rhythm with Nature. That's where you're going to find kind of the start here. Let's get into the seasons. And it's just broken down to the seasons. And then this is the biggest thing is, you know, as we're all home right now and we're not sure what's next, how everything unfolds, how everything is shifting, this is one way that you can bring healing home. And there's a lot of people right now who might not be having the support, whether they have a therapist or just the support of their coworkers and the community. This is a way that we can all reconnect to the one who has never abandoned us, right? Mother Earth, and feel and recharge our batteries at a whole nother level. And we can do it as a family. And as things begin to open up, we can do this as a community. Okay, so that's phase, like side one, solar, right? Following the seasons, following the sun. The next one is lunar. And so lunar is the moon. And when it comes to the moon, this one was actually where I started. And so, pick whichever one is you're feeling a stronger connection to. And for the lunar side of it, this is where this filled the gap of loving the first of the month of a new month, right? And so we just entered June 1st. It's like it came for me, but it wasn't super huge, outside of my business. But tomorrow, for us, we have a full moon, and that is so much more exciting to me. And so, the full moon is not on the 1st. And so it does shift your calendar a little bit to recognize the lunar phases. And you can keep it super simple. And this is where I start. Figure out where all the full moons are for your region. What are the dates for your full moons? And then what are the dates for those new moons? And so full moons, I would say pick one or the other. If you're at a place where you're like, I just need to celebrate. I need more fun, more joy. And I am just looking to love on my kids or love on myself. And I would say start with your full moon, because it is all about the heart and the energy of expansion, releasing so we can expand. And so what I love about the full moon is that it's a great place if you have kids to begin to celebrate and recognize. And the reason I say that is there's something visible in the sky. We have a 1-year-old right now, and as we're coming into a full moon tonight, it was yesterday, and he walked out, and like his only word is eh, and he pointed up at the moon, and it was still, we had just gone through dusk, and for him, a 1-year-old, to make that connection, that's what we're looking for. That illuminated the importance of honoring that cycle for us. Just when the 1-year-old connect, and it gives that 1-year-old a language with our 10-year-old, right? It's the moon. It's very simple, and it's so beautiful when we simplify these things. So the other side, if you were like, okay, that's nice, and maybe you're not the party animal, maybe you were a little bit more like myself. And for me, I was looking for introvert type of work. I wanted a bath, right? I wanted to get deeper into my emotions. I wanted to get deeper into my physical body after having children, and why there were some parts of my physical health that were holding pain, that no matter how much I worked out or shifted what I was eating, that pain remained. And if you want to just dig a little deeper and start to really work on yourself, start with the new moon. That is a beautiful place to begin. And the new moon is where I spend a lot of time journaling and setting up my month. And there's two really important things that really came out. I've been doing a lunar practice for about 4 years. And I followed Ezzie Spencer, Dr. Ezzie Spencer. She wrote Lunar Abundance. It's still one of my favorite books to suggest. It's linked up on my shop page, so you can get the link there. And it's a journal you can write in. And she talks about these phases, right? So the thing about women specifically, and we have a daughter, and this is really becoming apparent as our daughter is aging, is, women traditionally cycle on the lunar rhythm. And so this is a place that I found a beautiful thread of reconnecting with women in my life, but also reconnecting with my daughter at a level that I didn't realize I was missing. And so it allows it to just be very comfortable for all young girls, teenagers, you know, stepping into those developmental stages hormonally and having them starting off as little kids or whenever they know when the full moon is here. The full moon might be when they start to menstruate. And so they'll have a different level of connection with themselves and a different level of connection to their emotions and the world around them when they have like a lunar backbone into their lifestyle, into their just it'll be so normal to be part of them. And we found it to be a beautiful language when talking to the women in our lives. So that was just kind of one blessing we didn't realize. I didn't realize 4 years ago when I started this for myself, I didn't realize how much of a blessing it would be for my daughter and the other women in my life, and being very comfortable and confident to reach out to the women I've helped guide into the lunar rhythm and into, you know, raising their daughters through this. It's been so beautiful. You know, and the other thing, back to celebrations, if you are like, that's cool, Beth, that you like have a season celebration. I'm like a party animal. I want to celebrate every month. I want something to gather my friends. I love to cook. I love to entertain. You might want to get into full moon celebrations. They could be everybody meet for a bonfire, bring your own dish to pass. It could be a full themed spread. Whatever. I think the importance is that we begin to build a new tradition and we start to show ourselves and the generations before us, but also the generations who are following us, that we can rewrite tradition and we can change tradition when it doesn't serve us for our higher good. And that is where we found these natural rhythms to be the backbone for that. So this is just the beginning of the conversations. If you have any questions, hop over to the Botanica Beth Studio brand page where I am going live on Thursdays right now. And then you can always, I will clean up the video and throw it on YouTube so you can share out. But please, the most important place to find content that doesn't kind of move around with algorithms is my website. So please go to botanicabeth.com and poke around there. I share about our deschooling, the books that my husband and I write, our art that we create that is, you know, from earth materials, and how we're painting and integrating color and connection with our kids. So have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.